I'm a Chinese immigrant in Texas. In China, I represent Texas. Back in Texas, I represent China. That identity switch is always a thrill. So, here is my question. What happens when a Texan sets foot in China for the very first time?
And so here we are in a foreign country. We're in China. As a Christian American, before we came over here, I had some preconceived negative expectations or worries coming over to China. Especially, I don't get out much. I've never been to any other foreign country, so there were some worries I had, right?
Today's main character is Blake Stalens. He's not a travel vlogger at all. He's actually one of the top 10 CM moto dealers in the US. And yet, he suddenly found himself invited to spend 7 days in China. This is a guy who had never set foot outside America, and his very first trip abroad was to a place the US often paints as hostile and evil. So, let's see what happened. His first stop is Hangzhou. Blake and his one travel buddy barely dropped their bags at the hotel before heading straight to the buzzing night market. As they walked, they were curiously watching the world around them, while the world around them was just as curious watching them back. Before the stores closed at 10:30 p.m., Blake picked out gifts for his family back home. Day 1, and he's already proving he's a family man. Here's a cultural overlap you might not expect. Both Chinese folks and Texans share this value, a conservative streak, a love for family, and the idea that family is the real backbone of life.
One thing I do want to point out is everybody is so nice here, so nice and respectful.
The next morning, Blake got his very first taste of Chinese hotel breakfast, and wow, the spread was endless. When he spotted breakfast sausage, potato cakes, and pancakes tucked among the options, he actually laughed out loud like a kid who just found treasure. That day's destination, Westlake, China's most famous scenic lake, celebrated in poems, paintings, and postcards for over 1,000 years. And they got lucky. It wasn't a weekend or a holiday, so the crowds were thin. Unlike my own visits, where Westlake feels more like a sea of people, their guide led them to a quiet little corner. There, they finally got to enjoy the lake's famous beauty in real tranquility. Maybe it was the unfamiliar breakfast. Maybe he just didn't eat enough. But on the way, Blake was desperately hunting for an energy drink. Inside a convenience store, he ran into his travel buddies, who were on a mission to find chips. They exchanged a knowing smile, each holding their own survival supplies.
We're going to survive, it's okay. What's really nice about the West Lake is that the locals use this area as a quiet place to walk and just get away from the busyness and rush of everyday life here. And so you'll see a lot of people just coming and sitting and just looking out across the lake. The noise you hear actually now is a group of, I guess, school-age kids. And they look to be doing a tour. But other than that, it's been really quiet and peaceful.
As they strolled through the trees, Blake spotted a uniformed man.
So there is police that are, quietly patrolling everywhere. But there seems to be no issues or no problems around here. Nobody stirs up any trouble.
That's a park security guard. Their job isn't chasing criminals. It's making sure no one sneaks in a fishing pole or slips the fish a snack. By 11 a.m., it was time to regroup for lunch. But Blake wasn't ready to leave. The lake was so close to his hotel that he promised himself, "I'm definitely coming back on my own." For lunch, they stepped into a Chinese restaurant where tanks of live seafood lined the entrance. The group then wound their way through a maze of corridors before finally reaching a private dining room deep inside. It wasn't just the food that felt unfamiliar. The whole setting was a world apart from what Blake knew back home. This was nothing like Texas, where meals usually mean an open grill, wide open space, and long tables for everyone. Taking it all in, he broke the tension with a laugh.
I don't know. I'll take a double cheeseburger.
I saw a McDonald's. Is there a proper etiquette on?
Yeah, if we get sick, we're all going to sit together.
I'd give you $20 to ask for a fork. On camera.
20 yen or $20?
20 yen.
Around the table, everyone was buzzing with curiosity and excitement. Some dishes looked familiar, but most of them they couldn't even name. Didn't matter a bit, because as long as it tasted good, that was all that counted. Coming from the motor industry, Blake couldn't help noticing vehicles on the street.
There's a ton of commuters that use electric scooters, and there's a ton of electric vehicles as well. So blue license plates with white letters is gas burners, and then when you see the license plates with the green background, those are electric vehicles. And it's about 50-50 here. They say that last year the 50% of the new vehicles that were purchased in China, 50% of the market share was EV. So it's pushed a lot here, but you also see a ton of e-scooters and bicycles. Like there's an electric BMW. There's an electric, not really sure what that is.
Next up, the host took them to a theme park. But right away, Blake noticed something different. The theme park has no roller coasters. It's really just a park with a theme. Just when things felt a little too calm, a screaming fountain show jolted everyone back into excitement.
You see? We should do it together. I say 3, 2, 1. We do it together, okay? 3, 2, 1.
Well, now that we've you have to let all your anger out before you can go in the rest of the theme park.
By dinner that night, Blake was clearly no longer a rookie. He'd already picked up enough to start teaching his own audience a bit of Chinese dining etiquette.
And you spin it around, get your chopsticks, the one on the right-hand side, grab what you want, put on your plate, and then you use the black chopsticks to eat with.
That's quite a leap, from asking for a double cheeseburger to giving a chopstick etiquette lesson. That evening, they wandered back into the night market. Clearly, Blake loved the lively street vibe. But when it came to the endless rows of snacks, he stayed cautious. Watching him, I felt he was every bit the genuine Texan. A man of few words, reserved. Maybe from nerves, maybe just overwhelmed by too much new information at once. Part of me half expected him to suddenly switch gears and show off some Texan sharpshooting skills. Day 3 was packed wall-to-wall with work. Day 4, time to leave Hangzhou. But Blake still seemed a little dazed.
Where are we at again?
Wuzhen.
Okay, we're going to Wuzhen?
Yes.
Okay. And but Hangzhou. We're leaving Hangzhou, which has been awesome. Beautiful, beautiful city. Really had a great time here. And it's been really awesome. I can't believe we're only halfway into our trip. So a lot of sightseeing now, a lot of just learning the culture and the history here, which has been really neat. It's been eye-opening, especially as an American who never gets out of the state of Mississippi hardly. So really cool. But yeah, we'll try to capture as much as we can along the way and show you some cool sights and probably eat some more tasty food. So here we go.
But one thing's for sure, with a can of energy drink in hand every morning, Blake was never confused. Wuzhen sits about 50 miles from Hangzhou, a classic water town, often called the Venice of the East. It's a maze of canals, stone bridges, and whitewashed houses. Blake and his buddies walked the narrow streets with earpieces in, no doubt listening to the English narration. Maybe that's why he stayed almost completely silent the whole way. But come dinner time, Blake lit up again. At the buffet, he excitedly showed off the food to his viewers, only to load his plate with French fries and popcorn chicken, a little taste of home. Back at the table, he glanced over. His travel buddy had done exactly the same thing.
I'm a little burnt out. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the Chinese food. It's awesome experience, the real deal. But after a while, you start missing the good home greasy, not good for you food. So, anyways, about to dig in and enjoy this.
That night, as everyone slept, an unexpected incident shattered the silence. Blake was jolted awake in an unfamiliar place. He stayed level-headed. The first thing he did was switch on his camera, then head for the bathroom, passport and laptop bag in hand, trying to find the way out. Downstairs, he saw the whole hotel crowd gathered outside, more like a midnight block party than an emergency. The funniest part? His buddy had even hauled out his full luggage. In the end, it wasn't a fire at all. Someone had been smoking, and the hotel system was sensitive enough to catch even the tiniest wisp of smoke.
Now that I've had a moment to calm down and let my adrenaline stop pumping, which it's really not stopped, I'll give you a quick breakdown of what was going on in our mind as this happened. So here we are in a foreign country. We're in China. As a Christian American, before we came over here, I had some preconceived negative expectations or worries coming over to China. Especially, I don't get out much. I've never been to any other foreign country, so there was some worries I had, right? Up to this point, we've had a wonderful time. Like I said, I feel safer here than I do in 90% of the cities in the U.S. There's no way I'd be walking the streets after dark in Memphis or Jackson, Mississippi, or anywhere. But here I felt 100% safe.
Strangely enough, this whole false alarm fiasco actually made Blake feel that China was very safe. Maybe because if cigarettes can set off alarms, then the real danger doesn't stand a chance. The last 2 days of the trip were spent in Shanghai. Blake kept his camera rolling, capturing all kinds of real moments. His confusing moment. Their bus pulled up to the hotel a little early, but wasn't allowed into the parking lot until the exact reservation time, even if it meant blocking traffic outside. His striking moment, filming a skyline shot so stunning it could have been on a postcard. His funny moment, spotting a group of monks, yes, monks, riding the ultra-fast elevator up to the world's third tallest building, just to check in at the top.
Fastest speed is 18 meters per second. 仅55秒便可到达上海之巅观光厅. In only 55 seconds, we will reach Observatory of Shanghai Tower. 118层到了，祝您参观愉快. We have arrived at 118th floor. Wish you a pleasant tour.
And then came a slightly disappointing moment. Finally reaching the highest observation deck, expecting to see the city stretch endlessly below, only to find it all wrapped in haze. Was that fog or smog? For many foreign visitors, air quality is one of the first things you notice in a Chinese megacity. In Texas, the sky is usually wide open and crystal clear. Shanghai can deliver that same bright blue too, but on days like this, the skyline feels like it's hidden behind a frosted glass filter. A week passed quickly, and this Texan reluctantly said goodbye to his travel companions. For Blake, China was no longer just the China from the news. It had become night markets, quiet lakes, towering skyscrapers, and one simple sentence he carried with him: Chinese people are nice. And that makes me think, when I, as a Chinese immigrant in Texas, switch identities back and forth, maybe what really connects us isn't politics or headlines, but these small, genuine moments of discovery. Okay, thank you for watching Sue Talk. Until next time.